Welcome back. Dr. Ndu Nwokolo is joining me at the table right now. He is the CEO and partner at Nextier Security, Peace and Development. Welcome, Dr. Nwokolo, and good to have you.
Thank you for inviting me.
Let's talk about the economic cost of insecurity, because some people may say, okay, why am I discussing insecurity in the country? But we're seeing the symptoms, or is it the symptoms now, or we're seeing the effects really, possibly on the agricultural sector, possibly on even the peace condition around the country. For people now, I don't know about other people, but for me as a person, I'm really, I think, more at alert than I used to be before I try to watch my back or see whatever is happening around my environment. How much do you think that we have lost really to insecurity in the country? Because when I took a look at the Global Peace Index, we've worsened from 2008 to 2020, the last data, from 125, 122 to 147 as at last year. And Nigeria is ranked among the least peaceful countries in Africa, I think around number 5 or number 8. So how much of a problem is this? And do you think that the government is really attending to the problem of insecurity sincerely than what we see, what they say or what we see on the news?
Okay, let me start by first saying that if I'm just to talk a bit like from a political economy angle, the situation is not really it's not really favorable in terms of both our micro and macro economies. You find out that unemployment has increased. If you take agriculture, which is one area of our economy that has the largest number of people working in that sector, especially in the areas that we consider as our food basket. If we take the Northeast, the North Central, and the Northwest, you could see the trajectory, the increase in terms of banditry, kidnapping, and so on. For an instance, the last 1 year has shown that communities, families, and government have spent over 7.8 billion naira on ransom alone. So places like Niger, if you read one of Nextier SPD's report, we show that communities have even come together to have a peace deal with these bandits to say, don't attack us, let us harvest our products and we'll pay you a certain amount of money. Is that bad? You know? So if you flip it on the side of Boko Haram and the Northeast, UN report shows that Nigeria has lost about $25.8 billion since the outbreak of the insurgency in the Northeast. Now, even if we decide to look at these things sectorially, look at it in terms of region, and look at it in terms of micro indices, you find out that we are in a situation. For an instance now, in the Southeast, since the rise of these shooting by unknown gunmen, you know that Southeast is a region where most of the monies made in the Southeast come from outside, either from diaspora communities or people who come in to buy from the markets and the cottage industries in the Southeast. It shows that a lot of people have either deserted the market or are not making that inroad into the Southeast to purchase what they normally could want to buy. So flip it on every sector of the country or every region of the country. We are really in a very bad situation. Now to ask the question, how sincere is government in what they are doing? I wouldn't want to answer it from the point of sincerity. I will answer it from the point of competence. Okay. I'll answer it from the point of understanding what is happening, and I will answer it from the point of the urgency and the need to build a synergy that brings everybody together. And I think that's where the government is lacking. Now, everyone who understands security situation in the country will tell you that the government, that the military is deployed in 34 out of the 36 states, which is bad for us. Now,
well, we are not at war.
Yes.
Really.
Now, monies that we could use in doing other things like putting infrastructure development and other things, we are using the persecuting war, which is not good for us. And if you look at some of these conflict and crisis and insecurity we're having, they are ones that need people sitting within a round table and discussing, and you're sorting them out. And then you can now devote your energy in dealing with the ones that there are no in ways into it. And I keep telling people, the situation we have, I can talk about each of them and tell you the ones you can deal with easily.
Can we do that quickly? Because for me, when I look at this insecurity situation in the country, you've just said that it's very simple to deal with, yes, because there are some pockets of insecurity issues that people can come around the table and they quickly deal with it. There are some they might be more complex than,
yes,
as simple as that. But why is it taking so long? And you talked about the amount we spend, and I want us, if we have that, guys, I want us to put that on the screen so that we have an idea of how much we have, you know, earmarked to security, at least since 2015. And don't also forget that the president came in on 3 pillars. Fighting insecurity is one of them. A lot of people had confidence in him that, oh, okay, he was a former military general, he's going to have a hang of it. Defense spending since 2015, if we have it, guys, we've spent $2.07 billion in 2015, $1.72 billion in 2016, $1.62 billion in 2017, $2.04 billion in 2018, in 2019, $1.8 billion, then in 2020, $1.2 billion. If you take a look at the defense budget for this year, 120.04 billion naira for defense. Army has about 27 billion, Navy 12.04 billion, then Air Force has the largest share for this year's budget, 31.89 billion. I really needed to drop these numbers so that our viewers can understand why I'm also talking about it and why
and
this issue...
This excludes the security vote,
yes,
which may
yes,
have increased over this while.
Yes.
Nobody tells us how
about
much it is,
that.
so we don't even know what they do with it.
So that we have an idea that this is what is costing the country on a yearly basis, yet it seems we are not seeing commensurate, you know, effort or actions that would be equal to what we're spending. That spending could have gone to something else.
Exactly.
Nigeria is the poverty capital of the world. It would have gone to, so what exactly is the problem? What are the solutions?
Some of the solutions are political.
Political in what sense?
Political
I don't understand.
in the sense that you sit down to look at your security architecture, and you know when people hear about restructuring, they think about restructuring is about breaking Nigeria into pieces. That's not what it means. Some of those things are part of what when people are arguing that we need to restructure a lot of things about Nigeria. I'll give you an instance. We have a country where the chief of defense staff is not in charge of the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force. And I think it's something critical we need to look at. He should be the joint chief of staff so that he is able to help the other service chiefs to make inroad and say what will happen. It doesn't work that way in the country. But if you look like places like the US, the chief of defense staff is a joint chief of staff. That's one. I'll give you another one. This is a country where we have permanently allowed the national security advisor to be a military man. The national security advisor must not be a military man. He could be a professor of conflict, a professor of intelligence, a professor of security.
Some may argue with you that, okay, they need that military experience.
No, it doesn't, because we are thinking that everything is about bullet. It's not about bullet. Security includes human security. Security includes cyber security. Security includes economic security. So you might need somebody who has a different approach to what we are doing. For instance, if I'm the security advisor to the president, I will sit down and tell him, maybe the military we're deploying in the Southeast is not what we need. What we need is inclusion. What we need is good governance. What we need is to find a way to turn the minds and hearts of the Southeasterners, especially the young ones in the Southeast, who have likeness for Nnamdi Kanu, to see, it didn't start with this government, but we are ready to help to work out of the situation. It's not about sending soldiers and the military to shoot them. Can you see how you're turning their mind? It's not about shooting them. That's one. Let's talk about farmer-herder conflict. In 2 or 3 weeks ago, the president talked about grazing routes, gazetting and all that. And people have come out to say that this is more of an economic resources. let's find a way to deal with this. Don't go that route. It won't work. Work with the governors, especially the governors that have land to allocate. For instance, if local government can build shops and people will pay to hire those shops, local government can as well build ranches. Support them to build ranches. Let these people ranch and pay token. It's an idea. It's not about it. There's no that you don't have to deploy military. So these are some of the things we need to talk about and find out how to deal with them.
Are they, do we have short-termism in terms of solutions to our immediate insecurity challenge? Are some of those solutions very short-term, or are they more of mid-term to long-term? Because most of these insecurity issues also stem from economic prowess or economic freedom. You know, I think, was it Samuel, not Samuel L. Jackson. Samuel L. Jackson is the actor. The other Jackson, the other Jesse Jackson, I think,
Jackson, right?
has said that there's no freedom without economic freedom.
Oh yeah.
So, if people are not really economically empowered, they don't have a sense of that freedom. So, what kind of short-term solutions or economic solutions can we really put in place that will turn the insecurity tide we have?
Okay.
Or has it gone beyond economics really? Giving people a sense of belonging, jobs, employment, and all that?
You know, they are in conflict study, that's what we call the windows of opportunity.
Okay.
We've lost some of those windows of opportunity. So we have to come back now and start strategizing how to work with what we have. Now, what you may understand again is that economy is important, especially for our own situation. I'll give you an instance. If you check places like Zamfara, where you have youth, young people who were either farmers or herders, they are either running away from their communities because they can no longer live there. They're either running away from their communities because they've all lost their cattle. They've all moved to Abuja or moved to the urban areas. That's why you have increase in urban violence. They have nothing to do. And they have to survive one way or the other. You know? These are now increasing the amount of urban violence we have in our cities. You talk about highway robbery, you talk about the kidnapping, you talk about... So you have this pocket of insurgency, pocket of insecurity around all crannies and corners of the country. Now, but what again is very important again is this. If you look at the Central Bank of Nigeria, the Central Bank of Nigeria have developed a lot of intervention programs, like the Anchor Borrower program, trying to see how they can to jumpstart the economy, to get people into agriculture, using the value chain and do all that. But you saw the report last week that the farmers are saying that we cannot do anything because of insecurity.
And that's the CBN can't fix. CBN can't fix
cannot fix that. So you now find out that there are other support. I don't want to say alternative. There are other supports to fixing this, which might include, do we look at our security architecture in terms of policing? Shouldn't we sit down now and look at, okay, community policing, state policing? What are the other alternatives? Do we need to empower our vigilantes but bring them under control to make sure that this will work? So, but we need to think outside the box. It's not about rhetoric, it's not about sermon. We're like the choirs now, we've had so much. So what we want is action. And this action can come with a deliberate attempt to solve the problem. And which I think there are a lot of Nigerians with the brain and the mind to do this. It should not just be a military solution.
Do you think that the president is listening to all of this? That's the A part of the question. And from a facts point of view, do you think that Nigerians are better or worse off security-wise since he came in? So I've just asked you two questions.
But the figures, it's not about me saying the figures.
The figures say so. Okay. So the second question now is, do you think that the president is listening to all of this?
Well, I think the question should have been, do you think his minders are listening to all this?
Not his minders, because President Buhari said that he monitors what happens. He reads newspapers. I see pictures of that coming in from the presidency most times. He reads newspapers. So you see some of this analysis. He watches. His minders, also his advisors, they do watch many shows on television. They do watch analysts such as you come up. So is it a matter of watching and taking, if not all, some of the advice by experts such as you? Or is it that he doesn't care? Or is it that he doesn't listen? Or is it that his minders listen and they don't get back to him? Or is it that his minders tell him, oh, Baba, nothing they happen is okay, or it's been exaggerated? So I've put, I think, five scenarios.
I want to say that, you know, that's why in most economies and countries where things seems to be working well, you find out that the president or the prime minister or whoever has been able to surround himself with the best minds. If you ask me, do I think President Buhari has the best minds? I'm not going to say yes. You know, that's my feeling. I may be wrong. Because look at, for an instance, 2 or 3 weeks ago, while he was in Lagos, the president said, oh, the young boy, when he was referring to NSAS, he said they were coming to remove him from office. Obviously, this is what somebody told him. And every Nigerian who understood what happened knows that that's not true. But somebody may have sold that idea to him, that probably this is another Arab Spring, and he thought so. But it's not the same. It's not an Arab Spring. These are young Nigerians trying to express, you know, express their mind about things not working well. But I think what the minders should be doing in this state now is to, as much as possible, gather evidence, as much as possible, reach out to most Nigerians, and then be able to rank thoughts and ideas. You know, there was a time I was in one program and I talked about we building security architecture around farming communities, especially during harvest season. I was surprised that the next month it was, you know, after the killing of the rice farmers in Boronu. Mm-hmm. 1 week after I said that, they did the same. And I'm like, probably somebody saw me, heard me talk about that, and decided to do that. You know, nobody hates, no Nigerian does not want to live here. I want to live here. Everybody wants to live here. We do not have any option B. So, and I think security is everybody's business. So no matter how stupid we think somebody's idea is, at least listening to him, take his idea and try to build on it. I think some things the minders should be doing.
You know, the other thing we're not paying attention to also is the internally displaced persons that we're getting out of these conflict-infested areas. You just said it now that 34 states out of 36 have military personnel out there. Nigeria has about 3.3 million internally displaced people, the highest in Africa and third behind Syria as well as Colombia. I think Syria has about 6.5 million. I'm putting down these numbers so that there's context to what we're discussing, and it's not just general discussion. With the facts, you're able to understand the enormity of what we're facing. Just a few days ago, we saw that the Niger Delta Avengers are saying, guys, hey, we're going to bomb the oil facilities. And the president came out immediately to speak. And when I heard that, I was like, okay, you're speaking because that's where your money is. That's where your belly is. So do you think that the government is, you know, is handling that, especially with these threats coming from the Niger Delta boys, to say we're going to bomb oil facilities, bearing in mind that some of our oil fields, Escravos, Boni, Frocados, and all of that in that Niger Delta region?
Well, the problem here is that we like waiting until we are in a situation to start fixing it. Everybody knows that what we have in the Niger Delta is a negative piece. It's a piece that is a negative piece.
So it's a piece that is fragile.
It's a fragile piece, a piece that is in the cooler. You know, until some of those things they agitated for. Because what happened was that PUM will jump into the amnesty, which was a good one.
But the amnesty is still on, isn't it?
Yeah, it's still on.
From 2009.
10 years after.
Yeah, so this
is still on.
Government
and
is
we
still
cannot even
it.
remove it because the East-West Road is still like the East-West Road. It hasn't been done. The communities are still the way they are. So all we did was to pull out the big boys, pay them, you know. Remember, the big boys still control their foot soldiers. You know, last time the NNPC came out to talk about the number of the sabotage they've been getting. You know, so I think what we finally did was to say, okay, at least we have enough to get us by. Let's remove our eye, even if they are stealing. We really don't care. You know. Now remember, even to the Niger Avengers, there's a political connect to it, which is the issue of inaugurating the Niger NDDC board. Every minister that comes, you know, wants to, especially with the NDDC being moved from with the minister being given the mandate to oversee what is being done in NDDC, you find out that I'm sorry to say that NDDC, you know, never achieved the objective of what it was set up to do. So it became a way for everybody to compensate people who are, you know, another patronage, you know. So these guys are seeing all this and they're thinking, okay, NDDC and the ministry cannot be controlled by one state out of the 9 states. So that is the politics around it. They are thinking, okay, the administrator of NDDC is from Akwa Ibom. The minister for NDDC is from Akwa Ibom. And the guys from Delta and Bayelsa could be saying, but we are here. We even started this in the first instance. So why can't the board be inaugurated? So there's politics around it, you know. But all these things factors to the lack of development. We've not done much for the Niger Deltans. So they have at this point in time, until we do what we should do, they will keep agitating for more.
Out of all the symptoms of insecurity which we've seen, such as kidnappings, now for ransom, which I'm really very afraid of, because it has turned to a lucrative economy. It's an economy of its own.
Of course.
You know that you've even seen armed robbers turn to kidnappers now, yeah, because of ransom, and we're seemingly not having actions that will halt that. So out of banditry, kidnappings, ethnic conflict, IPOB now with the arrest of Nnamdi Kanu, what other things do we have? Boko Haram, ritual killings, assassinations. Yeah. We saw what happened with Gulag, yeah, in Imo State, pipeline vandalism, yes, what else again, militancy. So many, I think they're up to 10. Out of these, which do you think is the most risky for us?
For now, I think Boko Haram and terrorism in the northeast, we can contain it a bit, but banditry, kidnapping, and farmer header conflict, I class them together. They are the worst because they are pushing us towards food insecurity, which is already happening. Go to the market, you can see the way inflation galloping, skyrocketing day by day. In short, we do not even have galloping. The inflation has run away.
Yeah,
that's the way inflation. It is. So that's where our major problem is. And as this is happening, you have young people being corrupted into bandits, into kidnappers, and so on. You have most of them being pushed into our cities, and then when they come to their cities, they have nothing to do. They move into one form of, you know, crime or the other. So I think, and if you look at that which affects an average Nigerian now, these 3 seems to be the worst. Banditry, kidnapping, farmer header conflict. The 3 are together, and this seems to be the worst.
This seems to be the worst. And perhaps to also buttress your point, I think a director in Ministry of Agriculture did say that our silos are empty because of the insecurity. Of course, you have to produce a lot. The excess you put in the silos. Yes. In the times of drought or in the times of famine, you bring out. So it's a serious problem.
We are in a calamity, but we are not behaving so, but we are.
We are. If you take a look at Nigeria and take a look at the incomes, minimum wage is 30,000 naira. I know a lot of people pay for security, private security in Nigeria. Of course, we also pay for security because there are taxes that they use for budgets and all that for the military. For someone earning 30,000 naira, you go to communities around. That person will pay like an average of 500 naira monthly, even 1,000 naira monthly for neighborhood watch, yes, or the vigilantes. A lot of even the so-called big men have private security in their houses, and they know how much they pay per month to the security company or to the security personnel. We continue like this.
Do we have an option?
The option is to hold the government to account.
Okay, I refer you to an article we wrote again. We call it alternative policing, where we were looking at the vigilantes and so on.
Well, that's what
it has come to stay. It has come to stay in the sense that we don't even have enough policemen, considering our population. Then if we remove those of them who go with our politically exposed persons, you know, and those of them who watch over our assets and public assets and so on, you might be having less than 200 policemen, 200,000 policemen, to police over 200 million population. So that's inadequate.
Dr. Ndu, I'm afraid we're going to leave it at this point. I know we have a lot to talk about when it comes to insecurity. So perhaps I'm going to see you soon again, and let's see what happens. But thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. I've been speaking with Dr. Ndu Nwokolo, the CEO and partner at Nextier Security, Peace and Development. Let's take the CBN.